everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. For everyone else, welcome back. We are at the beginning of our Orilium autumn equinox. I have a jelly-filled donut. I'm excited to eat this in a minute. And I have a very ambitious roster this year. It's kind of a dual thing because when I originally started with the wild form druid career or calling path, I had autumn equinox was in August. Well, this year it got moved to September. And that is our first full month back, officially back to school. And I'm not quite sure how this is going to affect my reading, especially with teaching a new class this year. But we're just going to go with it and see. I do have opportunities to use scrolls that will help me to double up on prompts for one book if I need to. So one other thing that I did was I did buy a scroll of continuation so that I could start my reading a little bit early. So I actually started yesterday with The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. I have finished that today. I read 47% last night or yesterday, and then the rest of the book today. Had a fabulous time with it. At least Lucy Foley knows how to write a book that leaves you on the edge of your seat guessing what's going on. Everything that happened in it, or how it wrapped up in the end, I did not see any of that coming until it happened. She's really good at putting in red herrings. Had a great time with it. I think I'm trying to think through the other books I read by her. I've only read a few. Let me see if I can quickly pull up. All right, Lucy Foley. One, two. Looks like I've read 2 of her books now. I've done The Paris Apartment, which I really enjoyed. I read that over a year ago, and then now Midnight Feast. I think I like this one better than The Paris Apartment. And I think that has to do with partially because I listened to the audiobook for this one. And it has a full cast audio. And that was so fun. Each of the characters had, or when it's written in their perspective, it's done in a different voice. And I really enjoyed that. It added so much for me. And the other thing with this one is I could kind of see myself in a lot more of the characters' positions than with The Paris Apartment. And so I had just a more enjoyable time with it. So that leads me to where I'm going next. The next book I am reading is The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps. This is by Brooke Marley Jones. It is about a woman named Nell. She is a barista and lives in the apartment above the cafe. And one night, she incinerates someone. And if this were a fantasy world, that would be accepted. Or, be a thing that happens. But this takes place in our world. The normal, what we, it's not fantasy. It's not some fantastic world with fae and wizards and everything else. It's the real world with just humans. And through this, she's gonna go kind of on an adventure to find who she is. So I am going to get started on that, and I will check in with you soon. Hello everyone, so I am exactly 33% into The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps by Brooke Marley Jones. I am enjoying this one. I don't want to say struggling. I am trying to be loving to myself as we are going through, as I'm reading this book, because this is our first week of school back. I'm looking at I'm 33% into a book, and I only have one other prompt done, and it's the 4th. I'm a little concerned about hitting my magical readathon goal of 12, but we will see how things go. Right now, in The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps, I'm really enjoying this so far. It's following Nell, a barista who is trying to understand her magic in a world that doesn't have magic. And even at that, she doesn't fully, set someone on fire. Not a spoiler. It is on the back of the book, or in the description of the book. It's kind of the setup. But she's in this other world and has no idea how she made it happen or how to make it happen again. She's just very confused in all of this. This is the first she's hearing about this stuff, and things are not exactly as they seem that they should be. She is with Dara, and Dara is I'm assuming our male main character. He is, at least at this point. And she basically is like, I just want to go home. And he's like, okay, stay here. And his friend is like, oh no, go with Dara, he likes you. And it's a lot of miscommunications going on right now, and they are leading to other events going on. Overall, I am really enjoying this book, even though I'm doing a probably crappy job explaining it. But the banter in here is amazing. There is one point where Nell is being strangled, and she tells the person strangling her, essentially on the lines of, what do you do when I like this? And it's hilarious seeing that whole scene. But I do need to get July, end of July's vlog up. Maybe I'll skip that one and just jump into August. Anyway, I need to get a vlog up, and then I need to kind of tidy up here a little bit because school is spilling over into everything, and we're only past the first day. And then I have to get ready for tomorrow. So I'm gonna get editing, and I will check in with you guys in a little bit. Hello everyone. So I am now almost 75% through Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps. I am really enjoying this one. I'm trying to protect my cornbread muffin. I'm really enjoying this one. It has a lot going on in it, and so I'm having a slight, I don't want to say problem, a slight slowdown in the book, because when things get going, I want to make sure that I have time to read. This is the first book in a series. I believe this is the only one released right now. Yeah, it's the only one. And this is the only one by Brooke Marley Jones. So as things are going on in this, I am just trying to figure out where everything fits in. They say it's a horror, or Storygraph says it's a horror. And other than a few characters that are kind of gruesome, I don't see the horror aspects. I kind of was on the fence of using this one for the spooky season challenge by Covers with Cassidy for In the Woods, because a large portion of this takes place in the woods. The only thing I had, though, that was tripping me up was it didn't hit the right unlocking prompts, because I needed certain ones for certain things. I probably could have used it as new release, but then The God in the Woods I would have had to figure out somewhere else. So I am going to just kind of, I'm not going to count it for the spooky season challenge, which came out on my channel just this past week. So overall, I am really enjoying this book, and I love the characters. Jones has done a great job writing characters that you can love. Our main character now, like, the book opens up and she's dealing with some serious depression, which we don't see represented often in books. And then this kind of adventure falls in her lap and gets her going. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm going to get back into it and find out what's going on between Nell and Dara and all the other characters. There's a lot kind of trickling in. I do fully expect this to end on a cliffhanger because it is book one, and we'll see where it goes. But I will check in with you at the end of the book. Alright, so I have finished The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps. I was not expecting the ending that came. I definitely had certain thoughts and thought I thought certain things were going to happen and they didn't. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. This was so good. I think I'm going to give it 4.75 stars. And honestly, that last 0.25 is probably a me problem, but that's the benefit of star ratings, is they're based on me. So the only thing I had trouble with this one is it almost, the ending felt very much like a Brandon Sanderson book. So you have this slow, you have a slow and steady build up, and then you hit the climax, and it is just, it is just an avalanche that you don't want to stop reading. So from about, truthfully, it even comes before the climax. Once I hit about 60%, I no longer wanted to put the book down. I had no problem ignoring my phone and everything else around me. Even while I was cooking dinner, my thoughts were on the book. So, that being said, the first part was a little bit, there were parts in the first part that were missing a little bit. Also, I will say that this is an adult novel. I almost 100% sure that even on here they have it as an adult. Going here. Yeah, it's set as an adult novel. There is one very intense spicy scene, and it's kind of one of those that with the way the book ends, you're kind of glad that it went the way that there's only the one spicy scene. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at I really enjoyed it. The writing is well done. Like I said, there is a slow and steady progression through the plot, and then you hit about 60% and you don't want to put it down anymore. All the events take place, I didn't realize how quickly it all happened, but everything takes place in about a week. And the characters are well developed. I really enjoyed seeing not just the good guys,
but also the bad guys in this book. You have the protagonists, um, and they are great characters, very well developed, and you love them. And then you have the antagonists, and again, the backstory in especially one of the antagonists is amazing. And so you get this kind of picture of who this antagonist is and what's kind of guiding them. And then, of course, we have our morally gray characters. They're more side characters and they help further the plot along, but they are definitely gray characters. And even the smaller characters play their part and are developed in a way that you expect. Um, they're well developed for being side characters, I should say. You don't know their backstories necessarily, but you know enough about them that you can really um, picture who they are and what what their motivations are. But it is almost 11 o'clock, and so I'm gonna go to bed. As you can tell, I'm exhausted. But I couldn't put the book down. I had to finish it. So,
Okay, for those of you who stuck around through that last part, I did not realize that I was coming down with the cold that ran rampant through our school. And I just thought I was tired from the first full week of school, or the first 2 weeks of school. Um, that was not the case. I got really, really sick, um, and it was ugly. But in that time of being sick, I did read The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. This was an e-arc. I had a fantastic time with this one. One thing that I have loved about every Aaron A. Craig book that I have read in the past is she pulls out fairy tales that are not as commonly known here in the US. You can go to Barnes and Noble and go to the YA or fantasy sections, throw a dart, and you're probably going to hit a Beauty and the Beast retelling, or a Sleeping Beauty retelling, or oh, what's the other one that's super, super common? I can't even remember right now. But fairy tale retellings, it tends to be very much that same storyline, but with the author's own twists and turns. Sarah J. Maas with A Court of Thorns and Roses was Beauty and the Beast, but with Fae. Um, so there's a lot of stories that we are commonly aware of, but Aaron A. Craig goes in a slightly different direction. She does not go with those common ones. In a House of Salt and Sorrow, which I have here, this was the 12 Dancing Princesses. So we got a different culture's fairy tale. And again, in the 13th child, we have another culture's beliefs on what happens, um, or their God stories. And it was really refreshing to see some of the things that really stood out to me in this one is we get to see kind of a little bit of both sides of this story. We get our main character, Hazel, and we hear her voice almost throughout the entire book, but we also get her grandfather or her godfather, Merrick, the Dreaded Ends, um, point of view in the stories that he tells Hazel. And so it was a lot of fun to read. I really thought that I had recorded clips all throughout reading The 13th Child. Apparently, it was a fever dream, and I do not have a single clip from the book. So, you're just going to have to check or buy the book and try it yourself and see what you think. I am going to give The 13th Child 5 stars. Even though it's a YA and I don't um, quite enjoy those as much anymore, or I don't enjoy them like I once did. I really, really enjoyed this one. And I had a fantastic time reading this book. Um, Erin A. Craig, I think she is quickly becoming an auto buy author for me because I have not read a book of hers that has let me down yet. So I am giving The 13th Child 5 stars, and I hope that you will check it out and see what you think of it, especially if you liked House of Salt and Sorrows or House of Roots and Ruin. Both of those were fantastic, and this one was just as good. Well, I am going to end this vlog here. I am currently at 3 prompts completed. I have completed my, I'm waiting for it to load. I have completed my animal studies, both ordinary and distinguished levels. I read The Midnight Feast for my distinguished, The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps for my qualified. I also have this one as a backup if I want to, towards the end of the month, purchase another scroll. I can use this for my animal studies ordinary levels. And then the 13th child is my restoration qualified levels. If you don't know what those mean, feel free to check out G's Orilium Autumn Equinox announcement video, and all of the files she has will tell you what all of those things mean. But that is 3 subjects done and only 9 more to go. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.